just getting this. We're into March, and March means we're sitting with Brian because we do this every March.
Year.
It seems like you're even wearing the gear, which is awesome. Yeah, we had free shirts for March, so it was a great chance to sit down and talk to our beer guy because something about St. Patrick's and beer.
It's a popular time to talk about beer. I'm not sure what the correlation is, but
I don't know what happens
daily,
there.
I am Irish, so I like to celebrate St. Patrick's Day. So I think people just notice that and want to celebrate.
There you go. Yeah. So I mean, if you haven't figured out by now, we're sitting at Scorpion Brewing and Brian owner. So we sit down every month and talk to him about a delicious beer and all the goodness you give the community. So let's just hop right into it. How did you get from brewing to microbrewery and all this?
So very interesting. This was over 10 years ago now.
Wow.
We've actually been in this location for 12 years.
12?
Hard to believe. We opened 10 years ago, but we rented the place 12 years ago is when we first. The whole idea for Scorpion Brewing Company came about. So I was a home brewer, which is a normal transition to a professional brewer, you know. And in home brewing, I just kept getting more and more and wanted more and more. And then if you think back 12 years ago, it was 2012, the world was going to end.
That's right.
So we're like, well, what does the world need before it ends?
More
Scorpion
beer.
Brewing Company.
Yes,
so that's kind of where Scorpion Brewing Company came about out of. Me and some friends were like, oh, yeah, let's.
Well, Scorpion actually has a historic name, doesn't it?
It does, yeah. So 2012 also was the 200th anniversary of the War 1812. And the Scorpion, which was the flagship of the Chesapeake Flotilla, fought a lot of battles in 1814 along the Patuxent and...
we were very involved here in Maryland.
Yep, very involved. And so we wanted to kind of tie into the roots of the area. And since we're very close to Patuxent and the Bay, you know, Scorpion made a lot of sense to kind of draw that nautical theme in.
What were some of those first beers you started out with? Because nobody just starts with a Gambit.
No. So Oars Out Stout, which is still a beer we have quite often.
Original, still there, the OG.
One of the OGs.
Nice.
Yeah, that one became much more popular than you would have imagined. We had an ESB that was extremely popular early on, which we should probably remake again. We had a Pale Ale, because that's what back then it was... They wanted to come to a brewery to get a pale ale. Now it's IPA and sours and some other things, but really it was, want a pale ale. Well, I found out we had a great pale ale, but that wasn't a differentiator, so we kind of trailed off that, started focusing on more, of the British style beers and IPAs and things like that.
No, so if I remember back in those days, because we've been doing this for a while, this was the brewing side we're on right now.
So this was actually warehouse space. The brewery was actually always there, but we had a tasting room that was associated with this. This was a fish store 12 years ago. They sold saltwater fish over here. Our landlord, the people moved out and they offered it to us, so we took over, and this was actually where we kept all of the things to make it so you would only see the pretty tanks next door. Nice. Not the grain and the yeast and the freezers and all that.
You had a great setup. Still have a great setup over there. It was very aesthetic.
So we had that kind of setup, so you could see that, and this was our background. You didn't notice. Obviously, COVID hit. So we transferred from a very small tasting room to an area that had more room. So we basically repurposed our warehouse into a tasting room, and then actually recently, within the last year, Dave, one of our other newer owners, came and moved the wall back and extended, so we have even more room here to host more people, do more events.
Now, speaking of COVID, you kept me going during COVID because of all your food trucks.
Yes.
Like, we'd come by. It was the only, solace to be able to go out and grab a food truck, grab a pint and go.
Yeah, it gave actually some social aspect back that people needed. Yeah. We actually did very well during COVID.
I'm sure.
I feel kind of guilty about that because
you didn't cause COVID.
I didn't cause COVID, no. I was not involved in that at all. But... all these businesses really struggled to make it through. We were lucky enough to be able to be considered essential, so we were able to open up. We adapted based on CDC guidance, had outdoor seating, bought up heaters, worked with the food trucks. The food trucks we were really worried about at the beginning. The first food truck that came it was March. That's when it happened.
Oh, it happened before our event.
During your event,
So it happened we were standing here with our hands in our pockets.
Yeah, you had hand stuff out as we were running through. It was
crazy.
Very crazy. But we were able to adapt and overcome, and we kind of built a better community because of it. Because a lot of people saw this as, hey, it's a safe place to come. But it's also a place where I can feed my social being as well.
You are known for the food trucks. There's been a gambit of them. So every Friday and Saturday, right?
We do Thursdays and Saturdays normally, and then today's a Sunday, we happen to have one. Certain trucks want to work other days, and if a Friday has an event like trivia or something, we'll pull one in then. But we try always do Thursdays and Saturdays. Thursdays was a fluke weird thing that happened years ago. It was really hard to get a food truck to come in because small brewery, how much sales are we going to do? But we did a live music event on Thursdays, and so I teamed it with the food truck, And next thing you know, it became known as the Thursday food
Yeah.
truck. And it's one of our best days. Like, if you look at historically of our sales, Thursdays,
I would have never
they
guessed.
blow things out. And food trucks don't realize that either. Now we get new food trucks come in, they're like, oh, we can have a Thursday. Like, oh, no, we don't have Thursday. Like, like, we're hand selecting you for Thursday because you will do much better sales that day than you'll do on a Saturday any given day.
And then you have an array. I've seen everything from like pizza trucks to right now the lobster trucks here, and we've like Mexican food and German food. Like,
yes, you name it.
It is wild.
We actually try to find new places to come out. We know people want to have a variety of food. Don't want just the same thing over and over and over again. That's one of the pluses of having this kind of symbiotic relationship with food trucks. You know, there's different classes of breweries. Ours isn't allowed to have a restaurant tied to it, so we have to rely on food trucks. And it's great for us because then we can kind of keep things active.
That plus is probably a really good excuse. You don't have to deal with the food and all that stuff.
Don't need to deal with any of that stuff.
Yeah, that's
you do have to worry about like scheduling and things. There's all sorts of other aspects of it that are very challenging, but it's rewarding for us because it lets us focus on beer, which is what the whole point of this is.
You've never had to throw an apron on and start cooking burgers.
And you do find that, unfortunately, a lot of the brew pubs do good at either one or neither. They don't normally do well at all.
Usually they split up, like they have a food section run by something totally, That's pretty neat. So, all right. So shifting gears a little bit, I know for a little while you experimented and messed around with like doing cans and bottling, but you kind of stayed away and you're more like mugs and crowlers at this point, right?
So we're doing 16-ounce cans to go, but hand poured like a crowler. So canning equipment is kind of the barrier to entry there. We've been looking to try to get canning equipment, which will allow us to get more product out to the shelves where you really want to be. We did some canning runs where you brought in a company to come.
I was going to ask.
Do that for you. The profit margin there is
tough.
It's very small, so it was like you brew a lot and make like one of them I think we made $7 profit.
That's not worth it.
I mean we sold $11,000 worth of beer, but
after
all the numbers, you're like, oh wow, that really didn't make us much money. No. But we do want to be out in stores. We want to have cans going. Quite honestly, with COVID and everything, we started making much more money in-house because if you look at the distribution networks, you don't make much money through distribution. You have a lot more hand-holding you have to do. Here we can be control of everything, so it's kind of nice if we can maintain that.
There's way more behind the scenes than most people understand.
There is.
You can't just like start handing it off the grocery store.
Right.
Not the way that works at all.
There's laws that require all sorts of very interesting interactions.
There's a third party that handles it.
There has to be a third party to bring things from you to someone else, and they are involved in your marketing, and they're the ones interacting with the customer, which is the restaurant or the liquor store.
And they're very involved in your profits too.
They are, yes. They take 30% right off the top, no problem. Yeah.
So it's not as easy as people think. Like, why don't you just bottle some beer? Like, that's not how that goes.
Yeah, so it's like manpower and equipment. That's very challenging.
Not easy. Yeah. All right, so as you're brewing beer and doing things, you have you're famous for having an array of local ingredients and stuff too.
So
like you hit up a lot of farms for stuff.
Yeah, so we attempt to do that. That's one of the big keys that we started off with. We really wanted to be a farm brewery. There was no farm space available at a reasonable price to be able to get into that.
That's tough.
We still are looking. I mean, that's one of those, we've been in discussion with a couple farms locally about potentially
that's cool.
Transitioning our equipment and everything.
There's some of those in Virginia and West Virginia, and they're really cool.
They're very cool. That's what the concept was to begin with. It just was barrier to entry was really hard to get into. This space was a little easier because it's flex space, so zoning was easier.
Public water,
et cetera. Well, this is actually That was a 9-month of my life I'm never getting back. Is water management. There's all sorts of fun that you learn when you're doing this. I should become a consultant for people that
It's not as easy. It's a big leap from I'm doing it at my garage to all of this. That's a big leap, but not many people do too much of that. So you go to the farms, and so when you do like a blueberry beer, those are blueberries from here.
Yes. So unless it's a weird time of year where we can't get them.
Yeah. But you do seasonal stuff.
Yes, we do. We try to do seasonal. We try to change things around. That's the one plus of being a small brewery is we can just change around. Like I want to do this, I want to do that. And now we brought another brewer on, Tony, who's now one of the owners as well. He's been doing some great beers, playing around, created seasonal menus for us, so it's really great.
How big are those still? So when you say small brewery, like
there's
got to be a certain
brewery,
size.
We are a 7-barrel brewery, which is 250 gallons of beer we make at a time.
Okay.
So it's not small per se.
But I mean, it's bigger than garage, but not like Miller Lite.
Exactly. It's not like you're mass producing beer. Yeah. Each beer is handmade. The way we keep consistent batch to batch is we can do double batching. So we have some 15-barrel tanks. Those are 500-gallon tanks. They are 10-foot tall, 8-foot wide. So they're not small. They're stainless steel, double jacketed. So they're very expensive. equipment that we have, but that's what we need to make consistent good beer.
And then your part, cleaning those buggers.
There's clean in place, so they're actually not as hard as people think.
Really?
Yeah. So that's secret of industry.
Man, because
chemicals do all sorts of great things to remove things from stainless steel. So stainless steel is very easy to clean. That's why we have it that way. Some of the beers, like really big IPAs, are like you can't actually get the trub, the hops and stuff out of the bottom because it goes to a 1.5 inch Gazetta tube.
Yeah.
And hops coagulate together, and if
So
they
you're like
form
taking
like
those
that,
out by hand?
So they're sometimes scooping by hand. That gets very messy, and that is
that's a
you
lot
gotta be ready
of
to be
fun.
Fun is a good word for it.
All right, so the other part is we talked about it a little bit earlier that you do a lot of community involvement,
Yes.
right? So you have game nights and things. Like what other kind of stuff? Like I know you're very active in the community with charity work and all those things too.
Yes, of course, yeah. So obviously we have the different festivals and things that we want to be involved in, including like my church is All Saints and they do a arts festival, so we've been active in that. The first Fridays that came back to the beach,
those are
been
great.
Involved in trying to get back to those. We do host game nights and karaoke nights and things just kind of bring people together.
So you just every time, did a lot of people reach out to you? You get like emails all the time.
I get emails all the
time.
time.
So how do you decide?
It's very challenging.
Yeah, I'm sure.
We get a lot of a lot of it has to do with obviously someone is a regular here that wants to do something special. We're like, oh yeah, of course we'll.
Trust factor.
Yeah, we understand that they know they have something they're passionate about in the industry. Like, oh, SPCA is doing this, can we do that?
Yeah.
Like our homebrew club is a not-for-profit, so that's one of the things that we've been really pushing. They run our trivia night for us, so the money raised there goes to a local Calvert County charity that helps battered women and puts them up. So there's a home in Prince Frederick that no one's supposed to know where it is. So we just give money or supplies, hygiene products, things like that.
We do the same.
And it goes to them, and it helps a lot. And there's been thousands of dollars already given through that
program.
Yeah.
To the homebrew club. You guys even do a contest, a homebrew contest.
Yeah, we do a couple of them. So they actually managing those now. They've been doing it more community-oriented ones. It used to be a homebrew contest where people brought beer, a bunch of beer judges drank them and judged them, which is...
I didn't get a call, but if you need extra judges, you let me know.
We get a lot of people volunteering. It's actually not as fun as people think. You get some really challenging beers in those kind of contests. Like we had early contests with 80 beers, and so you only taste about 6 per table, but those 6 are all supposed to be the same types of beers.
That's my question.
And they are
really close?
No, not really.
Oh, really?
There's ones that are like, oh my gosh, what did you do to this?
Yeah.
And some people submit them just to understand what they did wrong.
Got it.
In those competitions, getting that feedback is what they're looking for. So you're judging beer, but you're also tasting things, and you end up drinking more of the ones that taste really bad.
Yeah.
To try to figure out, pinpoint the badness. Then the ones like, oh, that's a really good beer. Like, yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, you take a sip of that, like, oh, awesome beer. Yeah, good. This is good
beer.
Yeah. But the really bad taste, you're like, ooh, yeah, that one. You also got like wet socks somehow. You probably did this to get that because they want that feedback.
Yeah.
These newer ones they've been doing are, hey, 6 brewers come make beers. It's a normally charity type thing, so you get a card. You put the card into the number of beer you like the best. You write the number on it that you think is the best beer.
That's a good one.
And then so it's a better community involved. Like it's more subjective, but it's
not exactly a Cicerone situation.
No, you don't get much feedback. You just they like that one a lot.
There's 20 cards in that one. So for those of you who don't know, Cicerone, you can actually it's a profession. You can actually go out and get a license.
Yes, there's also BJCP, Beer Judge Certification Program, which is Cicerone for the Brewers Association.
I'm telling you, like if you're about like you need like
extra if you love beer. Now,
way to go.
The warning on that, though, is you learn to pick out bad things in beer. You will never drink a beer again.
That's right.
You're not going to just be like, hey, Super Bowl's today. Let's go crack a beer open and watch it. You're like, ooh, this beer has a little bit of corn note to it. It was fermented at a slightly off temperature, so you're getting some fusel alcohol.
You become a snob, right?
You become a snob.
This Coors Light did not happen
today.
Exactly,
yeah. So you got to be careful what you wish for.
All right, that's awesome. All right, so what are some of the future plans for the place? Like, I know you've already bumped the walls out. Like,
yes, so we are always looking for another space because this space wasn't what we wanted it to be in begin with.
Yeah.
Big plans now are just what beer releases we're going to do. We did a special beer release at the end of the year. Cool. Still have beer bottles available. They're specialty bottles, hand bottled, hand labeled, dipped in wax. Really fancy. Black Star 24 was our 2024 release. We have another one coming out. So that one we're going to make up to 500. We only made 100 so far bottles of that. The Valentine's release, which is coming out very soon, very, very soon.
Because it's Valentine's Day.
It's Valentine's Day. That is going to be a much smaller
Which style is that going to be?
It is a stout, a fruit stout.
Fruit stout.
Yeah, so it's super good.
Yeah,
and it's there's only going to be, I think, 50 bottles total.
See, that's your.
So
that's,
it's a very niche specialty thing. Yeah,
that's the great part about being a small brewery like that.
Yeah.
Like, you can pivot and just like,
We can.
you know what, we're going to do this.
we can. Yeah,
We're just going to mess around,
Yep.
make that beer and make that beer.
exactly. And that's something special, just for people that want to give something special to someone they love.
Oh, yeah. All right, so we're gonna. I know the answer is gonna be you can't go with generic because every brewer in the world is like they're all my babies.
Oh yes.
All right, we're playing favorites here.
Oh, man.
We're playing favorites. We're your top 3 favorites ever.
Okay. So I'll give you one. One is very easy. I was commissioned by NASA to make a Hubble Space Telescope 25th anniversary
Wow, that's
beer.
cool.
That was one of my favorite beer
Cool.
releases.
What style was it?
It was a Belgian triple.
Belgian triple.
Spiced.
That is a very specific
It is
flavor.
very specific flavor,
yeah.
very nice, really fun beer. And we made special labels up for the Hubble Space Telescope program.
Cool.
The program managers bought stuff for their teams. We sold them here. It was awesome. I always love Orzow Stout. That's
Forever and ever.
it's one of those. It was an accident beer I made as a home brewer,
that's
and
awesome.
it's just I like it. It's a tasty
Yeah,
beer. It sells all the time, no problem. The other one was we made a vanilla porter
Oh, yeah, I
as
remember
a
that one.
demonstrator beer for people that had
Yeah, I remember
it was
that
Christmas
one.
time.
Yeah.
Hey, did someone give you a beer kit for Christmas to break
Yeah.
down the stigma of brewing? And I looked at what ingredients I had. I'm like, oh, I can throw a porter together. So it literally was a kitchen sink porter. Like, oh yeah, we got some of that.
Some of that. Let's put it
Oh, we
together.
get that. And I'm like, oh, I can teach people how to make vanilla extract as well.
Oh, yeah.
So it's really easy to make your own vanilla extract. You just split vanillas, drop it in Grey Goose vodka, and leave it for like 3 months.
Got
as
it.
vanilla extract. So I taught people how to do that. Made the beer. Beer ended up being pretty good.
Yeah.
One of those Cicerone people, one of the beer judges we brought in.
Enjoyed it.
He's actually BJCP, one of the highest judges in the world. He lives in Frederick, Maryland. Came down here for one of our
Try it.
contests. And
Dang.
he did the contest. Then one of the joys of being a judge, he gets a drink here for free. After that, he ended up downing so much of that porter. He's like, why don't you find a way to mass produce this? Because this is one of the best porters
That's
I've ever
awesome.
had. So I have someone of that high esteem say that. It's
That's pretty cool.
Made you be like, wow, that's awesome.
That's
Yeah.
really awesome. My favorite of yours so far, I'm going to go off, and you did a Scottish ale one time.
Oh,
only.
yeah.
You did it
Kent
once.
Lifter? Yeah.
Once, and then you
Yeah.
stopped.
Yeah.
It was one of my favorites. I'm assuming that
Yeah.
Scottish ale's hard to do.
It's hard to do. It's expensive to do. It's the
Yeah.
same as the Orzow Stout. They actually use the exact same yeast.
Oh, really?
And that yeast is an expensive yeast from the West Coast.
That's right.
Yeah,
We'll figure out.
especially.
We'll figure out my Scottish heritage. We'll find a way
Yes.
to bring that back
We
someday.
can.
We'll do
It's
a
a pretty good one,
collaboration,
yeah.
a
Okay,
live
we can do
local
that, yeah.
collaboration with
Yeah.
it, maybe something fun like that. Do you ever do it like in the bourbon barrels and things like that too?
We do, yep. So
Okay.
we have a barrel program. Kind of slowed up on that a little bit. It's harder to get just fresh barrels. People have been using it for other things.
Yeah.
A lot of bespoke industry wants barrels now for other stuff. Rain barrels, all sorts of weird things people are doing with barrels besides putting liquid in. So it's a little more challenging, but we do like to do that. I still have a relationship with Tobacco Barn Distillery. down
Yeah,
there.
that's really
Yes,
delicious.
And so
He's very good.
If they have any specialty barrels available, they contact me first.
That's awesome.
I'll go down and grab one, put some beer in it.
And that makes it very special. I assume,
It's
yeah.
very special, also
Yeah.
very local. Once again,
Yeah.
want to keep things local, want to support the local businesses.
That's awesome. All right, cool. Is there anything else you wanted to go over? Anything else that I missed? I try to do what I can to get everything we can. We covered a lot of topics there. So.
Just want to thank everyone in the community for how helpful it's been over the. I mean, it's been being in business in 10 years means something.
It's a long time.
It's a
Anything
very
over
long
3
time.
years is a long time.
Yes. Yeah. So
All
making
right.
it past that was great. So thank you, everybody.
So we're going to do rapid fire.
Yeah.
What the heck did my rapid fire set of questions go?
Oh, I don't know. I burned them. Didn't want the rapid fire. Oh.
It was in the back pocket. We hid it in the back pocket.
Yeah.
These are not related to beer whatsoever.
Oh, okay, excellent.
And you have had not seen the list.
I have not.
So it's
no.
supposed to be like a dry run, and they're supposed to just be for fun. Like,
Oh,
It's
okay.
not going to be anything
Yeah.
serious. Like, for example, if you could magically make one food 0 calories, what's that food?
Pizza.
A lot of pizzas. I got a lot of pizzas.
Yeah.
What are you putting on it? Does it matter?
If it's 0 calories, I'm putting everything on there, man.
That's also the answer every time. All right, one movie that you never get tired of watching.
Ooh. History of the World Part 1.
That's a good
Mel
one.
Brooks. Yeah.
That is a very good one. All right, awesome. You can make one law that everybody has to follow.
Come drink beer.
Drink beer. Your numbers would go up dramatically. That's a pretty good one.
A little skewed on that one on wanting it.
All right, so if I'm putting you on an island, you only have one style of beer to drink from forever. One style, you can't mix it up. It's one keg. It never
Boy.
finishes up.
Just a style.
Yeah.
You get bored of styles really fast.
You can.
I'd say an Irish Red.
Oh, that is a good answer.
Yeah.
I'm with you on that one.
Yeah.
The Scottish ales, they are red Irish.
Yeah,
reds.
Red Irish. I mean, it's one of those. It's easy drinking, so you can
Yes.
drink it, but it also has some malt flavor and stuff.
For
so,
a
yeah.
while there, Duclaws did a Misfit Red. That was a red ale that was really easy going down.
Yeah.
But I haven't been up there in a while, but that was a good one. If you are given the ability to play a concert with one band, what's the band and which instrument are you playing?
I would say. So favorite band is Pink Floyd.
Oh, there you go.
So, and I would play bassoon just because it's weird.
Bassoon. I've never. You know what? Pink Floyd could probably sneak a bassoon in there
There's
somewhere.
a way. Yeah, Roger Waters can do it.
Yeah,
Anyone
they
could.
can figure it
Yeah.
out. Your favorite cartoon to watch when you were a kid?
Scooby Doo.
Scooby-Doo. That's a good one, too. My kids have gotten into Scooby-Doo.
Oh, yeah.
They've remixed that so
They
many
have.
different
There's
times.
a lot of different ways of
Yeah,
watching
it's
it,
pretty
yeah.
interesting. If you had to make a YouTube channel not based on beer or your area of expertise, what's it about?
Classic cars.
Classic cars. You guys do shows once in a while, don't you?
We do, yeah. I
Yeah.
have a slight problem with cars. Yeah.
It's like cars. And you have one or two.
I've got a few, yeah.
Yeah. All right, if you win the lottery, what's the first thing you're buying?
Ooh, big garage.
A big garage, big enough for all this. Like the whole brewing system
No,
stuff?
no, for cars. It's
For cars. For like a car brewery.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Bardo's. You remember Bardo's back in Arlington?
No.
So back in the '90s, there was a brewery that had like engines hanging in it and stuff.
Really?
In Arlington. Yeah, it was cool. It was
There
like,
you go.
It was a like garage turned into brewery.
Virginia's got a little more flexibility, it seems like, in
They
Maryland.
do, and that was like they were way back in the '90s.
So no rules.
Yeah, there
Just
was
do whatever
no
you want.
rules at all back then. Yeah.
But they seem to be a little more flexible with a lot of the breweries and wineries and stuff.
The laws were working hard to get changed,
Yeah.
and it's a long battle in all the states. So each state has good and bad. So
Yeah.
yeah, I wouldn't recommend moving there. I'd say come to Maryland and make beer.
Yeah, that's right.
We need more.
All right, and the last one. What's one place that is left on your bucket list to visit?
Oh,
You've been a lot. Because of your job, you've been to a lot of places.
I do travel a lot.
What's one place you haven't
I have
been?
not been to Australia yet.
Ah, that's a long plane ride.
It's a long plane ride. I actually have some opportunities to work maybe to go there in the next year or two, so that's kind of exciting.
Ah, that's cool.
But that's definitely, I like to see lots of different spots in Australia.
There you go, hang
I have
out.
a lot more on my bucket list too. I used to travel a lot, and now we got kids, and
You slow it down a little bit.
but
And a
job
brewery, and cars.
yeah, a couple
Yeah,
things,
a lot
yeah.
going on. All right, cool. That's wonderful. Hey,
Hey,
we
thank you.
appreciate your time. If you haven't had a chance to come by the St. Patrick's event, we do shirts
Yep.
like this one.
Yep, St. Patrick's
So
Day.
we'll give away shirts.
It's
We
the
have
16th this year, so come,
16th
yeah.
Saturday.
Yep, we
So
do music,
and we'll have
all sorts of fun. Yeah,
We'll have
food truck.
Bobby's
Yeah,
gonna come by.
yeah, Kenny
He's
Creek.
got some authentic Irish food if you
Oh,
haven't had
nice.
any.
Yeah.
So come on by, stop and see us, Brian. As always,
Thank
man.
you very much.
We appreciate
Thanks for
your
all you
time
do.
here today.
Yep.